and my name is Tony Shabangu. I will be emceeing this event. I just want to say a few words about the series before introducing our guest and our speakers, and I will then hand over. As I said, my name is Tony Shabangu, and I'm here to introduce the 4IR Distinguished Seminar Series, which is designated to highlight the developments and achievements within the space of technology, science, and large language modules as we celebrate the experts and those who are pioneering the way in this fourth industrial revolution. We will use this opportunity to learn from our experts, to enjoy what they have prepared for us, and also to engage with the work that they have done. So without any further ado, I would like to introduce our present guests who are here today. Formally, I would like to introduce our dean, who's off camera right now, Prof. Camilla Naidu, and then I would like to introduce our vice dean, Prof. Pragna, who is sitting with us here, and then I would like to formally introduce our speaker, our new vice dean also, Prof. Chad Harris, who is sitting with us off screen, and then finally I would like to slightly introduce our guest, who will be properly introduced by our Vice Dean, Prof. Mutambara, author, who has come here to give us a wonderful talk. Can we please give a round of applause to our guests and allow Prof. Pragna to come and say a few words.
Thank you so much, Tony. I appreciate that. And thank you very much, everybody. Can you see me? The screen is off. There we are. Is that fine?
Yeah.
Yeah, there we are. Welcome everybody and good morning on this very chilly Tuesday, 17th of June. I hope you had a good restful weekend, and also it was quite a memorable event for the June 16th as well. So just to welcome our Dean of the Faculty of Humanities, Professor Camilla Naidu, who is the overall host of this particular event, as well as our new Vice Dean Teaching and Learning, Prof. Chad Harris, to be here, and to our many other colleagues as well. Thank you very much for making time. We have a large group of colleagues online as well, so thank you for joining us online. It is really a huge pleasure to actually introduce and to have Prof. Mutambara, who is a leader in the world of 4IR, to actually be here today. And his willingness to give this lecture in person is quite memorable. Prof. Mutambara will be talking about the topic on leveraging transformative technologies in the global south, but he is a distinguished academic, engineer, and former political leader. He is currently a director and full professor at the University of Johannesburg Institute for the Future of Knowledge, IFK, in South Africa, where he leads the Decentralized Artificial Intelligence and Control Systems Research Group and serves as editor-in-chief of the Journal of Foresight and Thought Leadership. A world-renowned leading academic in control system specialist, roboticist, and author, Prof. Mutambara has an extensive academic background, having taught and conducted research at top institutes such as MIT, NASA, Carnegie Mellon University, the FSU in the USA. He holds a PhD in robotics and mechatronics and an MSc in computer engineering from the University of Oxford, where he was a Rhodes Scholar. He is a chartered engineer, fellow of the IET, senior member of IEEE, and holds fellowships in several engineering and science academies. Prof. Mutambara has authored 8 books, including major engineering texts and influential works on thought leadership. The upcoming titles include Research on AI and Development Aligned with the UN Sustainable Development Goals. So colleagues, we are really very privileged to have Prof. Mutambara give us this particular lecture today on AI, given where we are in the world currently at the moment. He's a leading thought figure, a leading thought leader in leadership as well. And to have someone of his stature and distinguished reputation to actually be here present in our own home at UJ, I mean, he should be leading this discussion, isn't it? And leading UJ on the use of AI and robotics in South Africa. So Prof. Mutambara, we are indeed very privileged to have you. I'm going to sit on that side because I know you've got some video clips and things that you would like us to leave in your presentation.
Thank you very much.
Okay. Vice Dean, thank you for that propaganda. Propaganda spreading over my name. Who doesn't like propaganda? Thank you very much for that introduction. We are here to have a conversation on leveraging transformative technologies in the Global South. What are those transformative technologies? What is the Global South? And what can we do to leverage transformative technologies? AI is just one of many technologies, but it's the main one, but there are quite a number. And the motivation behind this discussion is to say, don't assume that as Africans, we're going to benefit from the AI revolution. Don't assume that as Africans, we're going to benefit from the transformative technologies. We must take agents. We must actively seek to make these technologies work for ourselves. We must actively seek to ensure that AI is beneficial to us. If we don't do that, we might actually become victims of transformative technologies, victims of AI. So we have to step up to the plate and make these technologies work for ourselves. What we mean by Global South, we are talking about a socio-economic concept rather than a geographical concept. We can also look at this and say, these are what we call emerging and least industrialized countries. In the literature, sometimes people refer to it as the developing world, but that's pejorative because, when you say developing, developed, it's kind of judgmental. We prefer the phrase emerging and least industrialized countries or Global South. What are we talking about? We're talking about Africa. We're talking about Latin America, the Caribbean, Asia, and Oceania. Of course, in the process, we exclude Israel, we exclude Japan, South Korea, Australia, and New Zealand. That's what we mean by the Global South, emerging and least industrialized countries. That's what we mean by the Global South. What are the numbers? In the world, we have 8 billion people. In the Global South, we have 6.6 billion people. So when we say Global South, we're talking about the global majority. So if we can improve the quality of life in the Global South, we would have improved the quality of life of the majority of the people. So when we talk about leveraging transformative technologies in the Global South, we're talking about improving the quality of life of the majority of the world. These people have a shared history, similar features, and similar problems. Issues are poverty, inequality, unemployment, limited access to education, inadequate healthcare infrastructure, and limited access to technology. That's what we mean by the Global South. Our agenda is to say, how can we leverage, how can we use transformative technologies to improve the quality of life in the Global South, in the global majority, which is 6.6 billion people. The African continent, we are 1.4 billion people. But remember, there's the African diaspora. So when you combine Africa and this diaspora with what is called Global Africa, which is 2.2 billion people. So as we talk about driving African economies, driving Africa, we must talk about 1.4 billion people. Scale is very important. But more importantly, why don't we talk about Global Africa, the African diaspora, plus Africa, so that we can leverage 2.2 billion people. The Global North, that is in charge of the world, is only 1.4 billion people. And yet they are running the world. Europe, America, and so on, they are just 1.4 billion people. We are saying, why don't we think about the quality of life of the global majority, which is the Global South? That's a representation of the numbers there. When you look at the per capita income, GDP per capita, top 10, there's not a single country from the Global South. So we must also make sure we improve the quality of life, the average quality of life of our people, so we can get into the top 10. And when you look at this top 10, you find that America is quite low. And then they are the ones who are leading in terms of AI and transformative technologies. What it means is, in America, they don't have inclusive development. In America, they don't have shared prosperity. So they're not our example. When we leverage transformative technology in Africa, in the global south, we must do things differently from America because their growth, their success is not shared. We want to be having shared prosperity like Norway, like Switzerland. So as we seek to leverage transformative technologies, we must remember we are seeking inclusive development. We are seeking shared prosperity, which is absent in Germany, which is absent in America, absent in France. Here is a measure of our problems: inequality. The Gini coefficient is the measure of the gap between the haves and the have-nots. And you can see we are in South Africa today. South Africa is the worst in the world, the most unequal society in the world. What can we do using transformative technologies to make South Africa more equal? 67%, that's the number. That's the number for South Africa. The Gini coefficient, the measure of the gap between the haves and the have-nots. Most of the countries in the global south are characterized by a large number for the Gini coefficient. Inequality. What can we do using artificial intelligence? What can we do using transformative technologies to improve our Gini coefficients? In particular, South Africa, which is the most unequal country in the world. Now, one could say, well, but these countries are very different. They're heterogeneous. Why would you study them together? Why are you putting China, India, Gambia, South Africa, Zimbabwe together? They're very different. We are saying, yes, we understand that the countries are at different stages of development. China, India, Malawi, Ghana, but we want to study them together so they can learn from each other. China was able to move 800 million people out of poverty in 40 years. What can we learn from that? What did they do in China in 40 years to be able to move 800 million people out of poverty? Right now, the Chinese are driving AI, the Indians are moving. What can we learn from India, from Singapore, as South Africa, as Malawi? What can South Africa learn from Rwanda around AI? So yes, we accept the heterogeneity within the global south, but we think that studying them together is a unique opportunity for these countries to learn from each other. Zambia learning from South Africa, Zambia learning from Singapore, Zambia learning from Bangladesh. That is the rationale behind the term global south. That is the rationale behind studying them together so that we can learn from each other. For example, in the book that I've just done, I have 10 case studies, 5 from Africa, Zimbabwe, South Africa, Kenya, Rwanda, and Mauritius. Then outside Africa, in the global south, I have India, China, Singapore, Malaysia, and UAE. So among those 10, we can study and learn and be able to drive Rwanda, be able to drive South Africa. So that is the rationale behind studying them together. But of course, we're in Africa. So as part of the global south, our special interest is, of course, Africa, the 1.4 billion people. How can we use transformative technologies to improve the quality of life of those 1.4 billion people? And by the way, for us to survive, for us to be able to have an impact under globalization, under the AI revolution, under the revolution brought by transformative technologies, we must work together as a continent. We need the numbers. South Africa is too small an economy to be consequential within the AI revolution. Nigeria is too small to be meaningful under the AI revolution. Botswana, Zimbabwe, the same. Yes, let us work on our structures within South Africa, within Rwanda, but we must work towards the region and make the region work. ECOWAS must work, East African Community must work, SADC must work, but more importantly, the African Union, the African continent. Can you imagine if I was to rock up and say, here come, I'm the African. I speak on behalf of 1.4 billion people. Behind me, I have a collective GDP of $3.1 trillion. The Chinese will listen to me, not out of love, out of economics. The Americans will listen to me, not out of love, out of economics. If I was to walk up and say, here I come, I'm the African. I speak on behalf of 1.4 billion people, and behind me, I have a GDP of $3.1 trillion. They won't even ask me any questions about democracy. They'll just say, hey, can we make a deal? They'll talk about making a deal. What we're emphasizing is that if we're going to leverage transformative technologies, we need scale. We need economies of scale. So yes, let us make our countries succeed, but keep your eyes on the prize. The prize is the continent working as a colossus of 1.4 billion people, a colossus defined by $3.1 trillion. Even better, why don't we talk to our diaspora so that we have the global Africa agenda with 2.2 billion people, collective GDP, $5 trillion. That is the dream. That is the aspiration of using technology. As we do this, we must also remember that we have a lot of muscle. We have a lot of ability. And sometimes people, they misrepresent us to undermine us. Dean Naidu, this is what you taught us in primary school. This is wrong, Dean. How can 7,200 be smaller than 6,400? This is the map, the classical map. But that map is pejorative. That map is undermining our confidence. We are bigger than that as Africa. Anyway, we are dramatizing that. By land mass, we're much bigger than what we are told by the former colonizers and the current colonizers. 7,200 is much bigger than 6,400. As we proceed and seek to use transformative technologies to drive our economies, let us all remember that we are actually stronger than we are said to be. We have a lot of land mass. All those countries can fit into Africa. USA, China, India. So we are dramatizing our land mass, which means in terms of agriculture, mining, infrastructure, there's potential because we are massive. Beyond that, any mineral you can think of, we have. Look at our vast land mass, our vast natural resource base. We are saying as we leverage transformative technologies, we must also know our strengths. Why don't we use transformative technologies to unlock value from our natural resources, to drive beneficiation, to drive value addition, to drive trade? We're not starting from zero. We have a good baseline. Let us understand that baseline as we look at technology. When we say transformative technology, what are we talking about? You know, there's a big issue now with AI, but always remember, AI is a part of a major ecosystem of technologies: mobile telephony, 5G, ultra-fast fixed broadband, getting up to 10G, digital transformation, big data analytics, e-commerce, cybersecurity, blockchain technology. These technologies are related, but we're saying it's not just AI, it's beyond AI. Blockchain, for example, is a major technology that can be used to drive economies of the global south. Renewable energy. You know, the issue is not the panels. The issue is storage. You know, every night before you go to bed, you have to charge your phone. All of us. Can you imagine if we were to discover a battery that lasts for a month? You charge once a month. There's a lot of work being done right now under what's called battery energy storage systems. Because once we succeed with that, it will be revolutionary. The sun, if we're able to just store 2% of the energy from the sun a day, we'll never need any fossil fuels. So our storage systems are very weak right now. We can harvest through the panels, but the batteries storing the energy are very weak. So it's a major revolution right now around battery energy storage systems when we have the sun in Africa. So I want us to be aware of those technologies. Fintech, of course, agri-tech, of course, smart and high-tech in mining, smart logistics, cryptocurrency. I'm emphasizing that these are the transformative technologies that we as Africans must start getting involved in, studying and leveraging to drive our economies. Healthcare innovations, synthetic biology, major revolution. I'll say a bit about that. Nanotechnology, where you're designing at the level of 10 power minus 9 in terms of nanotechnology. Quantum computing, a major revolution. I'll say a bit about that. Internet of Things, cloud AI, edge AI, augmented reality. We are saying there is a lot going on. Why don't we as Africans be participants in the creation of transformative technologies? Why don't we as Africans be participants in leveraging these technologies to solve our problems? Quantum is a major one because it's going to change the way you do computing. It's about an interface between quantum, between physics, computer science, and mathematics, and a field called quantum mechanics. This is going to change even the language. Right now we say gigabytes, megabytes, wrong language. We talk about qubits. It's a new world altogether. And why are we saying this? It's going to be 1 million times faster than your current computer. When it's slower, 10,000 times faster. When you're doing encryption, for example, if you have an encrypted system, you can spend a whole year trying to decode it, and you succeed after a year. Quantum will take 5 minutes. So even encryption is going to change. This is like computing on steroids. Not yet done. But when it occurs, it's going to change everything, your TV, your phone, your computer. What I am saying is, why doesn't the Global South start thinking about quantum? How they're going to use it, how they can also help develop it, because it's coming. It's coming. And you can compare it with classical, and you can see that it's exponential in terms of its impact. Now, what we're saying today in this lecture is that when you combine AI plus quantum, it's another revolution altogether, which we can't even contemplate right now. Right now, AI is making waves. Quantum is still being developed, not yet mature. But when it matures, it's going to be a very major revolution. And things like AGI, which I'll talk about later, and super intelligence will be easier to achieve with quantum. So quantum is going to be an enabler for AI. What are we doing at UJ? What are we doing in South Africa to prepare for quantum computing? What are we doing to prepare for the combination of AI and quantum? That's what we're trying to do today. Synthetic biology. Then this one is an interesting one. We are combining biology and engineering, creating synthetic DNA, creating synthetic proteins, doing gene editing. What are we doing? We're constructing new biological systems. We're redesigning existing biological systems. We are reinventing organisms that died a long time ago, which went through extinction. This on its own is a major technology. In healthcare, you can apply it. In agriculture, you can apply it. In the environment. Gene editing, where you can also say you have, a person, and then you edit out the bad genes. So the next person will only have the good stuff. So we look at Taylor and say, Taylor is a superstar, but there are some good things about Taylor. There's some ugly ones. So we do some gene editing, We remove the ugly ones. So the next teller will be teller with only the positive aspects. Oh, a teller 2.0. Anyway, but on its, forget AI. On its own, it's a major transformative technology. Combined with AI, you can't even begin to think about the future. When you combine synthetic biology and AI, we can't even predict. There are so many unknown unknowns. I am saying, let us prepare, let us understand the nature. There's a book out there about this from Mustafa, The Coming Wave, where he talks about combining AI and synthetic biology. We want to use this technology in Africa. One could say, but why are you worried about this advanced science? Don't you have to worry about HIV, AIDS, water, poverty? Guess what? We can leapfrog. Remember when mobile telephone came through? We had no communication in Africa, in most of our countries. We moved from no communication to mobile communication. We had no brick and mortar banking in most of our countries. We moved from no banking to mobile banking. So don't lose heart that the science is very advanced. If we're clever, if we're organized, if we're innovative, we can leapfrog and move from no technology to super technology. The question is, which technology can we do that? Always remember the mobile telephony example, where we had no phones, from no phones to cell phones. We had no banks, from no banks to mobile banking. Some of this advanced science is more applicable, cheaper to apply, and more effective in the global south than in the north, because we don't have what are called legacy issues. Can you imagine when mobile telephony came through, London had wires everywhere, New York had wires everywhere. So they impose mobile on top of wires. Then you take a village in Dotito, there were no wires. Mpumalanga, no wires. So you could easily go wireless. So the lack of infrastructure, the lack of development, poverty can be an opportunity to go high science. So that's why we are interested in these things. Blockchain, another major one. This is very important because it allows you to have decentralized, immutable digital ledger that securely put in your records, your transactions, and with major components. Number one, a decentralized ledger, immutable records, transparency and security, smart contracts. Applicable in trade, applicable in the way you run elections, applicable in finance. That is a transformative technology. What can we do in South Africa by leveraging blockchain technology? What can we do in Rwanda to leverage this technology? That's what we're trying to address in this theme. Cryptocurrency, another major technology. It's a digital currency, which is based on blockchain. Now, this is a decentralized way of doing finance. Right now, we have the central bank, we have SAB. Under this technology, there will be no central bank in South Africa. The governor will be unemployed. We don't need SAB. What are we doing to leverage decentralized finance? What are we doing to leverage cryptocurrency, Bitcoin, Ethereum? Again, these are technologies which we can use to improve financial inclusion, to improve the quality of life in the global south. That's what we talk about. But of course, in all these things, the major technology is AI. And I'll spend more time on AI, but remember, AI is a part of a larger ecosystem of technologies. But at the moment, it is the key driver. Most of these things are using AI, so I'll spend more time on AI. What we mean by AI, we're basically talking about the development and deployment of computer systems of machines that can perform tasks requiring human-like intelligence. Things that you and I take for granted. Learning in a machine, problem solving in a machine, decision making in a computer system. If we can have those capacities in a computer software, in a computer system, in a robot, we have AI, learning, problem solving, decision making. That's all. ChatGPT, Gemini, Grok 3, DeepSeek R1, they are solving problems for you. They are doing decision making. They are learning. That is the essence of artificial intelligence. In terms of the broad categories of AI, what we call the taxonomy of AI, we start with very simple task AI. An AI system that does a very simple thing. Give it a go, it does it. That's the most basic. Then we become more complicated with what's called agentic AI. It's now autonomous, it's making decisions, it's pursuing multiple goals. That's the next stage of complexity in AI. Then we have generative AI, which all of you are familiar with because you're playing around with ChatGPT, Gemini, and Grok. Generative AI is about creating new text, creating new knowledge, creating new diagrams, creating new videos, the creation of new wisdom. This is the major driver right now of AI. And you see when I talk about the economics, most of the productivity is coming from generative AI. That's the major driver. In the last 2-3 years, that's why there's been an exponential rise in AI. It is because of that animal called generative AI. And the examples you are familiar with, ChatGPT, Gemini, Grok 3, DeepSeek R1. And DeepSeek R1, we like it because it's coming from China. These other guys were very expensive, millions and millions of dollars, so much energy, 100 PhDs on one program. The Chinese did it at a fraction of the cost, with less energy. What it says to the global south, it can be done. And by the way, my major message to the global south is that we must deploy transformative technologies to improve the quality of life of our people. That's number one. Number two, we must also build and develop transformative technologies. So what the Chinese did is what we want in Africa, to build AI systems. They built DeepSeek R1, which is as good as those guys, at a fraction of the cost. So it can be done in South Africa, it can be done in Rwanda. Generative AI. It gets more complicated, artificial general intelligence. Now we are saying, can we have a computer system? Can we have a robot with multiple capabilities? Just like you. You can walk, you can talk, you can play soccer, you can swim. Can we have a machine that does all those things? You see most of the robots we have right now, it does the talking, it does the analysis, or it walks. We are saying, why can't we have all those things in one machine? Artificial general intelligence, multiple types of intelligence in the same machine. Not yet achieved, work in progress. Artificial general intelligence. It's one thing to just have intelligence to do one thing and the other, but that one, AGI, is harder. It's work in progress, not yet achieved. It gets even more interesting, super intelligence. Now, Dean, here we are saying, what is going to happen when the AI is smarter than the smartest human being? When the robot is smarter than the smartest human being, smarter than Einstein, smarter than Newton in terms of IQ, smarter than Bill Gates, smarter than Elon Musk. What are the implications of that? And the interesting thing is that once you have one agent, which is super intelligent, getting 1 million is trivial. Replication in AI is very trivial. If you build one system, getting 100, getting 1 million, now get 1 billion super intelligent agents. How are we going to control them? I know you have a cat at home and you look after the cat because you're smarter than the cat. I know you have a dog, you have a donkey. What if the robot is smarter than you? Who's going to look after what? Why do you assume that you can look after someone who's smarter than you? Not yet done. Not yet, but we must start. There are many philosophers here and sociologists. What will be the implications of that? That's a project for you. What are the implications of superintelligence to society? Not yet done. That is called singularity. When the machine becomes smarter, it's singularity. And then with singularity, also have intentionality. You know, intentionality says, the machine now says, I know you programmed me, but I'm not going to do it because I don't want to. I've got an intention. I'm going to defy the coder. I'm sure you saw on TV recently where an AI was refusing to be decommissioned and going against the engineer. Okay? It's going to come a time when actually, as a property of the AI system, there's intentionality. When the machine says, no, today I'm not doing it because I don't want to. I have intention. Not yet done, but we must start thinking about what it means. I want us to intentionally talk about intelligence. We must always remember the nature of the beast. Deep learning is a part of machine learning. Machine learning is a part of AI. So that you don't say, for example, I'm studying machine learning and AI. It's like, I'm going to Africa and South Africa. No, I'm going to Africa, in particular South Africa. Because South Africa is Africa, in Africa. So you can say, I'm studying machine learning, which is part of AI. I'm studying AI, in particular machine learning. So I want you to understand the nature, the relatedness of things. Okay, the same applies to neural networks, deep learning is inside, and so on. You know, when you say ChatGPT, for example, it's part of GPT-4, part of large language models, and so on until. So the big mother of everything is AI. All these are subsets of AI right up to ChatGPT. Just that we're familiar with the language. Okay, these are the most popular AI systems. And as I said earlier on, DeepSeek is very interesting to us because it's coming from the global south. But you can see the domination of the global north in this game. And that's the whole arena of these large language models. Okay? Why are we talking about leveraging transformative technology? Why? Because there's serious money involved. And I'm going to use AI as an example. AI currently in the year 2025, the prediction is that it's going to add $11 trillion to global GDP. Global This is massive. What we're simply saying today in this seminar is, what can we do to ensure that the people in the global south have a piece of that pie? The people in Africa have a piece of that pie. The people in South Africa it's a lot of potential. If we're not careful, that money will go to Europe and America. We never experienced the $4 trillion. Why is this happening? You can ask, why is AI producing so much money? Because of productivity. Productivity per person has shot up. The key driver of economics in AI is because of its impact on productivity, its impact on efficiency, its impact on innovation. That's what we call the economics of AI. What can we do to ensure that the global south also benefit from the economics of AI? That's why we're doing that. And the reason why there's so much money in AI, it is because of the staggering impact of AI on productivity, or productivity per person has shot up 10 times, 11 times. So that's why we're having 10% of global GDP coming from one technology. Just to dramatize the impact of AI, this is Goldman Sachs. 95% of the work, the sophisticated work they're doing is not done by machine. Only 5% is done by human being. This work used to take 6 people in multiple weeks. Now it's done in minutes by an AI system. Can you imagine? And remember, Goldman Sachs, they do complicated work. What about your not so complicated work, my brother? This is IPO prospectus building is done in minutes. Why? Because 95% of the work is now done by machine. Only 5% will require human being. This is why there's so much interest in AI right now, because of the impact on productivity. That's why America is investing, Europe is investing, the Chinese are putting billions and billions of dollars into AI. We want to benefit from this. So productivity gains, innovation, job transformation, there are also challenges. The risks that it will only benefit the global north. Okay? Double the productivity, 10 times productivity, that's what we're pushing for. So those are the ambitious projections. What can we do to ensure that the African can benefit from that $11 trillion? What can we do to ensure that the African can benefit from the $4 trillion? Just to make sure you understand how big those numbers are. The entire Japanese economy is equivalent to generative AI. The entire Japanese economy is just equivalent to one technology, one type of AI. That's how massive AI is. The entire Japanese economy is equivalent to generative AI. And us, when we're generous ourselves, we're $3.1 trillion. So we are smaller than one type of AI. As a continent, our collective GDP is 3.1. And yet, generative AI is pushing 4.1 to the globe. Why can't we get even $500 billion into Africa so we can go up to $3.6 trillion? Don't assume that we're going to go up. We might even go down, depending on how we respond to the revolution. That $4 trillion will not come to us. That $11 trillion won't come to us. I'm dramatizing the case for our involvement. Look at our economy. South Africa, $400 billion. Nigeria, 362. Zimbabwe, we don't even mention, too small. Botswana. Can you compare those numbers with the impact of technology? We are simply saying, why don't you add a couple of billions into South Africa, into Nigeria, into Zimbabwe, by doing the right thing? So I know among the blind, the one-eyed person is king. So Nigeria and South Africa, they think they are big bowlers because they're swimming in a small pond. It's a small pond, Nigeria. It's a small pond, South Africa. You are nothing. You are small compared to generative AI. To zoom, you're big, right? Right. Those were ambitious numbers. There are people who are conservative. This is McKinsey and Company. This is PwC. They say, no, that's too ambitious. We project that we'll get about 15.7 from AI in 2030. This year, we get 7 trillion. Even those numbers are huge. This is the conservative side of it. If we are conservative, still those numbers are big. That number 7 is bigger than our collective GDP this year. So these are the conservative numbers. The ambitious was 11. The conservative is 7. And they're projecting 15.7 for 2030. This is a huge revolution. That's why it is a revolution. That's a revolution there, even in conservative terms. Okay, that's the conservative. So they give us 7 this year, and they give us 15 in 2030 from McKinsey. I know you worry about jobs. Jobs, yes. Dean, the jobs are going to die. We don't want to please each other nicely, yeah? It's called job displacement. Some jobs are going to die. It's called job displacement. But there's good news. Most of our jobs won't die. It's called job modification. Your job won't die, it will be modified. So make sure you're ready for the modified job. That's the good news. Job won't die, modified. Even better news, the creation of new jobs. Completely new jobs which didn't exist before. So number 1, job destruction. Number 2, job modification. Number 3, creation of new jobs. That's the job message from AI. You must reskill your job losers. Prepare and reskill them and retool them. You must reskill and prepare for the modified jobs. You must build new skills, new capabilities, new competencies to take advantage of the new jobs. Don't assume that you're going to benefit from the new jobs. This is the message to the global south. Some of your jobs in the global south are going to die. You must rescue your job losers. Your jobs are going to be there, but modified. You must prepare for the modified jobs. There will be some new jobs created in the global south. Make sure you develop the skills, the capabilities, and competencies that are required to take the new jobs. And of course, continuous education and reskilling is required. That's the message around jobs for the global south from transformative technology. The equation, there's an equation we must make sure is satisfied in the global south. You and I in the global south must ensure that our new jobs plus our modified jobs are much, much more than the destroyed jobs. In South Africa, if we're able to satisfy that equation, AI will be good for us. Transformative technology will be good for us. If our new jobs plus the modified jobs are much more than those destroyed, then we're good because there are more jobs. If you're not careful, it will be the reverse. The number of destroyed jobs will be more than the new jobs plus modified jobs. Then AI, then transformative technologies will create unemployment in South Africa. We create unemployment in Africa, unemployment in the global south. Don't assume that AI will be a force for good. Don't assume that. You must work for it by ensuring the equation is satisfied. That's what I have. What are the new jobs? Data scientists, machine learning engineers, software engineers, data engineers, AI researchers, AI domain experts, where you are an AI expert in agriculture, an AI expert in education, an AI expert in healthcare, an AI expert in finance. These are the new jobs. How many of them are we training at UJ? AI ethics, AI policy experts, AI prompt engineer. How many prompt engineers are we producing at UJ, at UCT, at WITS? None. We must change our curriculum in the global south if we're going to take advantage of the transformative technologies. It can't be business as usual. You must produce data engineers. You must produce domain experts. You must produce prompt engineers. A professional who specializes in designing, crafting, and optimizing prompts for AI models, particularly LLMs. That's a new job for South Africa, a new job for the global south. Are we preparing for that job? An AI project manager, an AI trainer, an AI teacher, an AI project manager, a meta software engineer, a Discord manager, a smart contract lawyer. These are not being produced at UJ or WITS or UCT. There is no smart contract lawyer being produced there. What is a smart contract lawyer? A specialist lawyer who can ensure that an agreement is made in the metaverse. As encoded in the blockchain layer, we don't have that. The curriculum must change so that we prepare for the new jobs. So that the job equation is satisfied. So that our new jobs plus our modified jobs are much, much more than the destroyed jobs. We have work to do in the global south. Okay? So about 25% will be destroyed. So that's the summary on the jobs. About 20% of the jobs will be destroyed. 50% new jobs will come on board. The majority won't be destroyed but modified. We must prepare for that majority in the global south. Some people even have a harsher view on jobs. Just a week ago, the CEO of Anthropic came up on CNN everywhere. He had this to say: AI will wipe 50% of all entry white-collar jobs, 50% in the next 5 years, to spike unemployment by 20% in the next 5 years. And he's saying that we must stop sugarcoating. And so there are people with very strong views on the job issue. I'm a bit more optimistic, but some people are even harsher. And look at what he's saying. I'm hoping to jar the government and fellow AI companies into preparing and protecting the United States. This guy is talking about protecting America. Who's protecting Africa? Who's protecting the global south? That's why I wrote the book, Dean. No one is going to look after our interests. When it's a crisis, America looks after America. When it's a crisis, Europe looks after Europe. During COVID, what happened? The Europeans had 6 times the requirement of vaccines. 6 times the requirement. With 0. And they refused to share. We're not sure what's going to happen here. So we're going to keep 6 times what we need. Because it was a crisis. So what we're saying is, when you have a crisis like this revolution, the key players are thinking America. The key players are thinking about themselves. So he's picking this guy to prepare and protect the United States of America. Who is preparing and protecting the global south? Who is preparing and protecting Africa? Who is preparing and protecting South Africa? You and I have to do that. So that's why we wrote this book. Another CEO has said this about jobs. If there's a vacancy in the company, please don't hire a replacement. Come and prove to me that AI can do the job. Oh, yeah, maybe Jill is going to do that. Come and prove to me that that job can't be done by AI. Only then can we hire a new person. So every vacancy, and that's a kind of way of firing people, right? There's a vacancy, we don't fill. It's a revolution. Tell me why I should hire a person. Tell me why AI can't do the job. Now, what are we saying? Here's the rough message we're saying to the University of Johannesburg, what we're saying to UCT, what we're saying to Wits, what we're saying to Harvard. Don't show me your certificate. Show me what you can do. We're no longer interested in your little MBA from Harvard, your PhD from UJ, your electrical engineering degree from Wits. I could care less. Show me what you can do. Don't show me your degree. What are your skills? What are your capabilities? What can you do for MTN? What can you do for Standard Bank? What can you do for Anglo? Skills, capabilities, competencies. So as we produce these graduates, Comrade Dean, we must make sure we empower them with some skills, some capabilities, some competencies that are required in the revolution, in addition to the little degree you give them. So yes to the little degree, but plus skills. Show me what you can do. Don't show me your certificate. What are we saying? What do we mean by the skills? Problem-solving skills, critical thinking skills, learning how to learn, learning how to unlearn, learning how to relearn. Are you teaching that, comrade philosopher? Are you teaching that? Learning how to learn, learning how to unlearn, learning how to relearn. Financial literacy, digital skills, AI skills, AI literacy, entrepreneurial skills, knowledge of self. Knowledge of self is the beginning of wisdom. Are you giving them that knowledge of self? Are you providing a mindset shift? Because most of our problems in the global south is about mindset. We need a can-do mentality. We need possibility thinkers. We need self-confidence. We need self-awareness. We need self-respect. We need self-belief. So when we are done at UJ, all our graduates must have these skills. Otherwise, they are uncooked. We are demanding that every graduate from UJ, every graduate from UCT, from Wits, must have a course in financial literacy, must have gone through a course in entrepreneurship. Every one of them. If you're studying history, studying law, studying engineering, you must do financial literacy as a requirement. You must do AI skills as a requirement. You must do entrepreneurship as a requirement. So when you are done with UJ, when you're done with UCT, you have financial literacy under your belt, you have entrepreneurship under your belt, you have AI skills under your belt, then we can talk. Then we call you a graduate. Otherwise, you are not in this field, in this area where we're talking about transformative technologies. Why are we saying this, Dean? You must make sure that your graduates at UJ are employable. How many of those graduates from UCT, from Pretoria, are employable? Are you measuring employability? That which is measured gets done. If you can't measure it, you can manage it. So we must have a system in the global south of measuring employability of our graduates. More importantly, we must make sure our products are able to go out there and create jobs, create companies, create industries, entrepreneurs. We must measure how many entrepreneurs we've produced as UCT, as UJ, as VIS. The mandate of the academy must be changed to target employability and entrepreneurship. Human capital developers, such as universities, must measure employability, must measure the capacity to create jobs. This is how we can leverage transformative technologies in the global south, by ensuring that our products in the academy are employable. Our products in the academy can create jobs. That's what we want. Remember, I emphasize that number one, we must create AI systems in addition to using them. But there's another interesting thing, which is the hardware. When you say AI is run on hardware. There are chips that are running these things. It's not run on air. There are chips, the CPUs, the GPUs, and so on. If we're going to benefit in the global south, we must also play in the semiconductor industry. Right now, when you go to ChatGPT or Grok, it's being run on a machine, on a hardware system in Silicon Valley. Why can't we have some of that hardware in Africa, some of that hardware in South Africa? Who is producing these chips? How much money are they making from making these chips? If the world is dominated by Taiwan semiconductor company, manufacturing company, and NVIDIA. These are the key companies. The material fabrication is TSMC from Taiwan. Then NVIDIA, they focus on the AI chips. AI is run on hardware. It is being dominated by NVIDIA. Just to make sure you understand why I'm saying we must have a piece of that pie. Look at the numbers. This company called NVIDIA. It's just one company in the US. On the 19th of June 2024, their market capitalization was $3.34 trillion. They don't do AI systems and AI, they just build the chips. The computer chip, the GPU, the NPU, the CPU, that's what they do. $3.34 trillion. Ahead of Microsoft, ahead of Apple. On that day, they're the biggest company in the world. Today, they're fluctuating, they're number 2, number 3, number 2. What I'm saying is, if we're going to benefit in the global south, yes, we're going to use AI. Yes, we're going to build AI systems, but we must also play in this space. Where are the minerals coming from? The minerals are coming from the DRC, from South Africa, from Zimbabwe, rare earth minerals, critical metals. Why can't we leverage our mineral base to partner with NVIDIA, to partner with the Taiwanese, so that we have a piece of that pie? Just to show you how big that number is. That company is bigger than the GDP of France, bigger than Russia, bigger than Canada, bigger than Brazil. Just a company that does hardware. That's what they do. Of course, they're bigger than us. It's a magnificent $3.1 trillion. We're smaller than one AI company. So we are saying, as the global south, we want a piece of that pie. We want a piece of that $3.34 trillion. The way we are going to leverage transformative technologies will include 3 things: using AI, building AI systems, and number 3, participating in the hardware space. It's harder, but why don't you be creative? Why don't you work together and say, we have the minerals in the DRC, we have the minerals in South Africa, can we partner? The minerals you need for your batteries, the minerals you need for these chips, are from our countries. Can we partner? The participation and leverage of transformative technology will not be complete unless we also are players in the semiconductor industry. Just to dramatize, you know mining is a big thing, right? In the global south. Compare the big mining companies with NVIDIA. BHP, the biggest mining company in the world, is like a dwarf compared to NVIDIA. This is in $1 billion. At $1.46 billion, they are small compared to NVIDIA. This company, all they do are chips for AI. Chips for AI. So yes, we're going to continue with our mining sector, but if we don't play in that space, we got a problem. That's why everyone's talking about AI. It's big money. If one company can be bigger than all the mining companies in the world, one AI company that does only hardware, that's why everyone and their grandmother are talking about AI today. It's because of this money. Donald Trump goes to Middle East, AI. Goes to Europe, AI. It's because of that. It's serious money. Now, lest we forget about AI systems. They're not neutral, these things. We are optimizing solutions. And when you optimize, you have to answer, what are your values? This is where values are important. Ethics are important because when you do AI systems, your values are going into the programs. Your ethics are going into the programs. They are not neutral, these things. They got the values of the creator. So we must know that. So that's why we should also build our own AI systems. Because when they're done by white males in Silicon Valley, it means the views of women are not there, the values of women are not there, the values of Africans are not there. Let's have diverse teams creating AI systems in Silicon Valley. But more importantly, why don't we do it ourselves? So we can put our values into these things as well. Okay? Values they reflect what you think is important. Western versus African values. You know, we have our own value. We also have our own philosophy. I am because we are because I am. Munu ngevanu, Ubuntu. It's not there in AI systems because the programmers don't know about it. So when you write the code, you're going to put Ubuntu into AI systems. So I'm emphasizing the issue of values. They are not neutral, these things. You know, when the book by Kissinger was launched by Isaacson said, we must make sure these AI systems have our values, our American values, not Chinese values. So which shows the Americans, as they push AI, they are also clear that they must have their values in there. And the Chinese are not Father Christmas. They also have a view. If you go to DeepSeek R1 and ask it, do it tonight. Can you tell me about Tiananmen Square? What happened? Oh, yeah. What were the issues? Yeah. It will say, I'm supposed to be an assistant. I don't talk about bad things. So the Chinese AI system won't discuss Tiananmen Square because they don't want to talk about that. It's a bad page in the history. What I'm saying is everybody has an agenda. The Chinese have an agenda. The Americans, it's only us who don't have an agenda. So let's use the technology, but you must know that the people who create these things have an agenda. You must have your own AI systems. Okay? When you do the programming, these are the values. You could be pushing for productivity, pushing for efficiency, that of course, but you can also talk about health and safety, customer experience, customer satisfaction, relationships, which are big in our environment, sustainability and environment. So we are saying an AI system is not neutral. If you are the programmer, you decide what you optimize. If you believe in health and safety, you make it a premium. But if you just want profitability and efficiency, you might ignore the other stuff. We are saying these AI systems are not neutral, they are value-driven. The question is what value? It's up to you, the programmer. It's up to you, the programmer. Okay? For example, you could do this if you're doing Uber, but I won't go into that. So what are we emphasizing? The three things, and please, I'm emphasizing because I want you to remember there are three things. Use transformative technologies. Build transformative technologies. Also play in the space of hardware. That's what we're pushing for. But as we do this, Comrade Dean, we must not put the cart before the horse. There are some fundamentals we need to get in place. before enjoy the fruits of AI. Awareness. Are we even aware of AI? Are we aware of the benefits and the dangers? So we must work on awareness in South Africa, awareness in Africa, awareness in the global south. Basic infrastructure, energy, connectivity, digital infrastructure. You can't do AI without energy. You can't do AI without connectivity. You can't do AI without digital infrastructure. Let us make sure we put in the basics, energy, connectivity, digital infrastructure. Right now we have load shedding, schedule 100. We can't do much AI with schedule 100. We must solve that problem. The good news is that AI can be used to solve that problem. So AI on energy is a double-edged sword. It requires a lot of energy, but can be used to solve energy. But we must solve energy. Compute infrastructure, that's now the hardware, the data centers, the GPUs, and all that. Data. Without data, there's no AI. Are we harvesting our data? Are we curating our data? Are we storing our data? Money. These things are very expensive. You know, one LLM will cost $200 million. It's very expensive, very energy intense. In one company, you can have 100 PhDs working on one product. We must prepare the human capital required for AI. We must prepare the money. This is where integration comes in. If we're working as SADC, we can get $1 billion into AI. If we're working as the African continent, out of our $3.1 trillion, we can put maybe 30 billion into AI. But as small economies, we can't do it because the money involved is huge. The energy involved is huge. Right now, there are some companies which now have private nuclear power plants just to produce power for AI. Private nuclear power plants to generate energy for power. China is producing 1.4 million engineers a year. 1.4 million engineers a year. America, 100,000. How many are we producing? We need the talent, we need the human capital. Let us not put the cart before the horse. Some fundamentals must be addressed in South Africa, in Africa, in the global south. Energy. Look at those Chinese. They're not playing. They've overtaken everybody in terms of production. Why can't we learn from our Chinese friends how to do energy? We're friends with the Chinese, but we have load shedding. Look at how they're generating power. Can the global, it's global south, that's why global south, China is global south. A friend in the global south is good at producing energy. South Africa, learn from that. How are they doing it? Let's learn from our friend from the global south to get energy. Where are we? In Zimbabwe, our national demand is 2,200. We're producing 1,600. In South Africa, what's our demand? 38,000. We're producing only 30,000. See, the gap between those numbers is load shedding. Zambia, we want 1,815, only 1,300. We can't do AI with these numbers. Wake up, Zimbabwe, wake up, South Africa. You're not ready for the revolution. You must solve the gap between supply and demand. Energy. That's the gap in Zimbabwe. That gap is what is causing load shedding. You don't have enough energy, you must load shed. South Africa, that gap is causing load shedding. If we're going to do AI, if we're going to do transformative technologies, let's find ways of closing that gap and even going beyond so that we can accommodate AI. With that gap in place, we are joking about embracing AI in South Africa. I know we can give interesting talks and set up forums and do white papers. There's no bigger white paper than solving that. So, Minister of Electricity, wake up and close the gap. Zambia, the same story. Again, preparing, we need governance, we need regulations, we need AI ecosystem. The way Silicon Valley works is because it's an ecosystem. Investors, venture capitalists, engineers, academia. We must build an ecosystem like Silicon Valley to drive AI. And the magic in Silicon Valley is in AI ecosystem. Where is our ecosystem in Rwanda? Where is our ecosystem in South Africa? Where is our ecosystem in the global south? Organizational preparedness, right mindset, the can-do mentality, and of course, basic education and literacy. foundational matters. How are we going to do this? Each country must have a national AI vision, a national AI strategy, a national AI implementation matrix. South Africa must have that, Rwanda, Bangladesh, Singapore. Once we're done with the country, each region must have a regional AI vision, regional strategy, regional implementation matrix. The AI vision for SADC, the AI strategy for SADC, the AI implementation matrix for SADC. After that, we go to the continent. The Africa AI vision, the Africa AI strategy, the Africa AI implementation matrix. Those three layers must talk to each other. There must be conversation between the country and the region and the continent, vice versa. The development must happen at three layers. I know the AU is doing some work, and we talk about it in the book and critique it. We do a short analysis of their efforts, and we see a lot of gaps. They can't do a vision at AU level without talking to the regions, without talking to the countries. The country can't do a vision without talking to... South Africa right now is making some efforts, but they're not talking to the region. So it's flawed. The region can't do it without talking to the country. We want a dynamic model that looks at the country, the region, and the continent, so that we have that framework there. And implementation is the hardest part. It's easier to have a vision. It's easier to craft a strategy, but the rubber must hit the ground. Execution, execution, execution. Prioritization and sequencing. And the implementation matrix. Who's going to do what? When are they doing it? Where is the money coming from? How are you going to measure success or lack of it? What are the milestones to the promised land? How do you monitor and feedback? Implementation is harder deal. And implementation is a science. We must spend more time on this one, number 3, implementation. The vision we can crack, but we always fail on number 3. There are many programs in Africa, many documents, they fail on the last stage. Execution is a science, and we must spend more time on that so that we make it happen. Of course, we need policy, governance, and legislation. We are talking about what needs to happen in the global south for them to embrace transformative technologies. That's what we need to do. Okay? Vision, strategy, policies must happen. And then we go and go around. I'm using AI as an example. You use the same thing for blockchain, for synthetic biology, for quantum computing. But AI is the in thing right now, so we're using it as an example for adoption. Okay? You do governance framework, we can discuss this. These are all in the book. And then we look at the impact in the different sectors, technology, education, and you can see the growth in impact there. In the book, we have 10 countries, as I said already. 5 from Africa, 5 from the Global South. We're saying, why can't you learn from each other? I have indicated the countries already. We have 11 sectors. Every sector you think of is affected by AI. Manufacturing, mining, education, and with various use cases. Okay? In the interest of time, I'll just show you some use cases. For example, say agriculture. And use some visuals so they can see what's happening in agriculture. My son, do you have sound? Okay, okay, so try to can you get a sound? Okay, don't worry, we can just do it without sounds, okay.
You have to share sound with us.
Okay, you can do it. So what we're saying is, listen, there are many applications in agriculture, many applications in mining, in manufacturing. What can we do in the Global South in manufacturing? What can we do in the Global South in mining? What can we do in the Global South in education using AI? And we need to prepare for it. We need to learn from those who have done it and make it happen. So I'm going to a section where I can show you just some examples with sounds and so on. But the issue is, don't assume that this revolution is going to benefit us by default. No, we must actively work for it. We must actively seek to make it happen for us and have urgency. And we must work together as regions.
Sci-fi movie, you're in the future of agriculture. If your farm looks
Okay, I'll be very brief with it.
If your farm looks like a sci-fi movie, you're in the future of agriculture. The AI in agriculture market is booming, going from $1.7 billion in 2023 to nearly $9 billion by 2031. But what's driving this rapid growth? Generative AI is now a game changer, offering real-time insights and accelerating decision-making. Farmers are using machine learning, computer vision, and robotics for precision farming, yield prediction, and pest management. AI tools are predicting weather, optimizing irrigation, and detecting crop diseases, helping farmers make better decisions faster. And it's not just about more tech. Data-driven solutions are boosting efficiency and supporting regenerative agriculture, focusing on soil health, biodiversity, and sustainability. Companies like Microsoft, IBM, and Deere & Company are leading the charge, revolutionizing farming with AI. From digital twins to drones, the future of farming is here, and it's incredible.
What can we do in South Africa in agriculture? We are agrarian economies in the global south. What can we do leveraging? You saw the examples of how we can use this technology. We have many economies in the global south that are driven by agriculture. Let's do some of these things to make it happen. Agriculture, again, drones.
Industry, growers, ranchers, academics, to bring about better, faster, and healthier workforce and yields. Not to mention costs. Drones are also lowering the cost of.
Okay, but the same drones can be used.
Little is known about the event, except that Israel used the swarm attack to strike dozens of targets, together with other missiles and munitions. Most media outlets reported this as an attack with multiple drones at once.
Okay, let's stay with peace. Mining. So some examples from mining there. From mine to port. These are the applications in mining. Crushing optimization. Stockpile planning and optimization. Grinding circuit optimization. Flotation optimization. Mining planning optimization. Logistics supply chain optimization. That's mining. Infrastructure.
Applications of artificial intelligence and machine learning for power generation. Hello, and welcome back to our channel. Today, we will discuss an exciting topic, applications of artificial intelligence and machine learning for power generation. With the world's increasing demand for energy, the power generation industry is constantly looking for innovative ways to improve efficiency, reduce costs, and minimize environmental impact. AI and machine learning are offering new possibilities to achieve these goals. AI and machine learning are revolutionizing the power generation industry by enabling advanced optimization techniques and predictive analytics. In this video, we will explore the various applications of AI and machine learning in power generation and how they transform the industry. Smart grids. Smart grids are a modernized electricity grid infrastructure that uses digital technologies to monitor and control the flow of electricity. They integrate advanced sensors, meters, and communication networks to optimize power generation, distribution, and consumption. AI and machine learning algorithms are used to analyze the data collected by smart grids to predict energy demand, optimize energy production, and improve power quality. For example, AI algorithms can analyze weather patterns and predict when high electricity demand is due to extreme temperatures. This allows the smart grid to ramp up production in advance, ensuring there is energy to meet the demand. Machine learning algorithms can also detect faults in the grid, enabling operators to quickly locate and fix problems before they cause a major outage.
I hope the Minister of Electricity is listening. Renewable energy.
Artificial intelligence is revolutionizing the renewable energy sector in incredible ways. Imagine using AI for predictive maintenance, analyzing data from wind turbines or solar panels to foresee issues before they happen, saving time and money. Then there's optimizing energy systems. AI algorithms can balance supply and demand in real time, making our grids smarter and more efficient. And when it comes to decision-making, AI can process vast amounts of data, helping researchers identify the most promising technologies and strategies. By harnessing AI, we're not just improving renewable energy, we're paving the way for a sustainable future.
Energy management.
Artificial intelligence. Artificial intelligence, AI and energy management. Can AI help us use energy more efficiently? Artificial intelligence is used in energy management systems to optimize consumption, predict demand, and integrate renewable energy sources more effectively. Subscribe to not miss anything.
Okay, healthcare.
AI is transforming every aspect of healthcare. From guiding patients effortlessly through their appointments, to creating more personalized, comfortable experiences. AI is reshaping care, capturing notes in real time so doctors can focus on their patients, and giving them the insights they need to provide the best care. AI is helping teams analyze medical images to support faster diagnosis and treatment decisions. It's empowering doctors with superhuman capabilities and lending nurses helping hands. AI is bringing healthcare directly into homes.
How are you feeling today?
Well, to be honest, work has been a bit hectic, so I've been quite stressed.
Connecting care teams and patients more deeply than ever before.
Manufacturing.
Welcome to the future of manufacturing. Enter generative AI. Trend 1, predictive maintenance, saving factories from unexpected breakdowns. 2, quality inspection, no faulty products slipping through. 3, demand forecasting, producing only what's needed. 4, process optimization, fine-tuning every step. 5, customization, unique products at mass production speed. And 6, sustainability, less waste, more efficiency. So, which of these AI?
Welcome to the future of car manufacturing. In this video, we get a fascinating look at how AI-powered robots are revolutionizing car production in China. These highly advanced robotic arms handle every step of the process with incredible precision. From assembling the foundation of the car to installing the windshields, roof, windows, seats, and even the tires. This level of automation not only speeds up production, but also enhances the quality and safety of modern cars. It's truly amazing to see how technology is shaping the future of the automotive industry. Do you think AI-powered
driverless cars?
Is the Waymo driverless car. Wow. What a crazy futuristic looking deal. Now, this is based on an I-Pace. We obviously have tons of cameras as well. Ready for pickup, and I've got a button that says unlock. The door handles extend, open up. Cool.
Good morning, Lewis.
Good morning, Lewis. Wow. So then we've got this display here. We've also got some USB ports back here. You can see the driver's seat is pushed all the way forward because, well...
The idea of a large truck barreling down the highway, carrying a heavy load and without a driver's hands on the tested along certain routes, driverless lorries are being allowed to operate under supervision. And when it comes to smaller delivery vans, they're already sharing the streets with human-controlled vehicles. Our China correspondent Stephen McDonald reports.
These trucks are driving on a public road without a human being behind the wheel. Driverless transport company Pony AI was given official permission to film a video showing just what its technology can do. Now it's running a pilot program, making deliveries from Beijing to Tianjin port which the company showed to the BBC.
So here we have one of these self-driving trucks. From the outside, it looks like
Finance and banking.
Into the future with generative AI in banking. 1. Personalized banking experiences. Think chatbots predicting your next purchase. 2. Fraud detection. Imagine AI spotting irregularities before you do. 3. Credit scoring. AI assessing your financial habits. 4. Algorithmic trading. AI making stock market predictions. 5. Risk management. AI analyzing market trends. 6. Customer service. AI solving your queries instantly. Revolutionize your banking with generative AI.
Okay, education, we're going to end with education now. You know, we must go beyond digital literacy. We must empower the learner to navigate. You know, dealing with AI, what we're proposing in AI is that you're going to have personalization. So every teacher, every professor will have an AI assistant. And every student will have an AI tutor. And you can imagine the level of personalization. If every professor has a professor or a tutor, and the student has, an assistant, and the student has a tutor. And then we build up a framework of literacy, which is foundational, practical, and durable. And then we make sure that we start from high school, from primary school. Okay, primary school, secondary school, AI in there. The Americans have done this in the Chinese. And we're developing a new curriculum and make sure that there are grants to support it. Without AI in education, it will be very difficult for us to adopt AI in the economy. We must have the skills that are required. So education is a key area of intervention. Okay? And starting from primary school.
To our channel. In this video, we will talk about the use of artificial intelligence in education. As technology continues to advance, we are seeing more and more ways in which AI is being used to enhance the learning experience. In this video, we will explore some of the ways in which AI is being used in education, as well as the potential benefits and challenges of using AI in the classroom. One of the ways in which AI is being used in education is through personalized learning. With personalized learning, AI algorithms are used to analyze a student's performance and provide customized lesson plans and recommendations for what the student should study next. This can be especially useful for students who may be struggling in a particular subject, as the AI can identify the specific areas where the student needs the most help and provide targeted instruction. Another way in which AI is being used in education is through the development of virtual tutors and teaching assistants. These AI-powered tools can help students with tasks such as...
Okay, I think we have a sense of what's going on. The summary of it, every sector you can think of, their AI applications. Tourism, telecoms, mobile telephony, civic society, human capital management, governance, and politics. The way you run your elections, you can use AI. So AI is ubiquitous. AI is everywhere. And in the 10 case studies in the book, we're trying to learn from each other in terms of how to approach AI. So we must understand that this is a revolution, and we cannot assume that we are going to benefit. The reason why I did this book is because we cannot assume that we are going to benefit from the AI revolution. And we cannot assume that we're going to have inclusive development and shared prosperity. We must actively work in the continent, in the global south to achieve this. That is the motivation behind this book. And also we must write. Africans are not writing. They're not even reading. So we need both a reading culture and a writing culture. So I'm trying to walk the talk by writing this book. And I've written others. So this is my book number 7, Dean. I'm trying to be a good example of writing. And so we need a writing culture in the university. We need a writing culture in the continent. We need a writing culture in the global south. And the next book is coming. We are not stopping writing. It's not on the SDG. And with the right colors as well for the university. You know? But not only should we read, we must also read other people's books. And other useful books that you can look at. The Coming Wave, I've already talked about that one. Genesis, that's Kissinger, very interesting on AI and geopolitics. The chip, about these computer chips and the war going on. Harari Nexus. We must read other people's views on the AI revolution. We must write about the revolution. Singularity is Near, another interesting book you can look at. NVIDIA, that's the book about the technology. We talked about that. And the Thinking Machine. All these books, the New Empire, some people are very skeptical. Rachel Adams shows that this is going to be a source of inequality. We must read that, and so on. So we want to conclude then. What are we saying? We are saying that the Global South must save urgence. We must make transformative technologies work for ourselves. We can't assume that they're going to benefit us. And the approach must be anchored by an ecosystem approach. We must use these technologies to solve our social, political, and economic problems. Embracing AI, embracing emerging technologies is not a nice to have. It's an existential matter. If we don't embrace technology, if we don't embrace these emerging technologies, we are going to suffer under globalization. It's important that we realize that it's not a nice to have. It's existential. It's a life and death situation for us. But however, all these things will rise or fall on leadership, political leadership in the country, political leadership in the region, political leadership in the continent. It will rise or fall on economic leadership. It will rise or fall on business leadership. It will rise or fall on civic society leadership. It will rise or fall on academic leadership. But in particular, we are talking about leadership in adopting and creating these technologies. Leadership, leadership, leadership. With those few words, I want to thank you very much for this opportunity to share with you today.
Thank you very much to Prof. Mutambara for a wonderful, engaging, and I really enjoy his presentation style. I hope everyone did too. We need to really embrace the challenges before us, as he said, and take on this challenge as a continent, as a region, and as a country to not only embrace what comes with the good, but also the bad that comes with our technologies. And with that said, I would like for us to open for questions. So I would like to open questions to our audience here, but also our audience online. You're more than welcome to ask your questions, make comments, remarks. This is your opportunity. You won't get these very much. As you can see, Prof is a very busy person, and please make the most of this opportunity right now. So are there any questions from the floor that we can take? Comments? Yes, sir. Please, when you give your question, just say who you are and where you come from briefly. Oh, you can go ahead.
Thank you so much, Prof, for that insightful presentation. My name is Sizwe Dlamini from the African Languages Department. And I just want to get your insights on this, Prof. I think we can attest that African languages in general, they are still misrepresented in the digital era. And according to me, we cannot do that. We cannot afford to do that because I believe that they can also provide economic opportunities. For instance, businesses can reach wider audiences if these languages are integrated. They can also improve, for instance, customer service. So what are your thoughts in terms of how we can bridge this gap? How can we integrate these languages so that they also add value towards the economic benefits?
Maybe should we ask a few?
Yeah, three.
Okay. Oh, can we get a question from Camilla or Dean?
Thanks, Prof. Mutambara. I think you gave us a very, very powerful and compelling presentation. We thank you very much for that. I wanted you to elaborate a bit more on political intentionality. When you started, I was thinking, what are governments doing? Where are we? Has there been any effort and attempt at moving in that particular direction, thinking in terms of regional networks? So where are we in the talk on AI in Africa? Is there anything to be optimistic about, or are we looking like we are going to be outcompeted in the long run? So we talk about global apartheid and maybe this could be, if we don't approach this appropriately, we're going to set ourselves back. And I just have a second question, just a information gathering question. So you talked about curriculum transformation. Which country do you think is really reworking its curriculum in line with this challenge of AI and global transformation? Yeah. So, because we see in our own country, universities perhaps are ahead of the state. We are talking about AI, we are talking about global transformation. There might be, that government is not as connected to these challenges as we are. But in which country would you see this kind of synergy and drive working to the advantage of the country itself?
And last one. Thank you for that, sir. Please go ahead, introduce yourself.
Morning, just checking the time just to be sure. My name is Kagiso Nkosi, so I'm from the University of Johannesburg's methodology lab. So I have a question in terms of when I'm listening to Prof speaking about AI, a lot of the emphasis on AI's use for optimization and increasing efficiency. In a country like South Africa, that poses a problem because the lack of efficiency is an economy on its own in South Africa. If you ever looked at anthropologists, sociologists who study monetary economies, there's a claim that they make, which is that both poverty and wealth require intentional effort to create. So meaning if you see poverty in a country, it means there's a lot of intentional effort to create it. And if you're talking using efficiency and optimization, then we have to neglect the intentional design of the South African economy, which is designed to create poverty. South African economy is not designed to create wealth. This is seen in a lot of social and economic activities, low wages, all of these things that we do to continue and make sure that people don't earn as much as they could. So my question is, in terms of the social application of AI in countries like South Africa, where they are intentionally designed to not produce efficiency, what then is the uptake and how then do we deal with these type of policies that need to be changed in order to increase efficiency and optimization?
Okay. All right. Thank you very much. I'll try to be brief. Language is very important. We cannot do AI unless we have African languages in these systems as well, because otherwise it will be suboptimal. Because, in fact, by the way, there's an article in the Sunday Mail by Vukosi and a colleague on this very subject you're raising. Vukosi is a professor at UP, and they're very keen on this issue of African languages. We must make sure that we have African languages involved in the design for AI systems. So when you say financial literacy, when you say financial inclusion, that inclusion must be done in the language used by the user for economic purposes, not even charity, for economic purposes. So there's major work right now being done to make sure the AI systems are in African language. I always find it fascinating when I put on Google Maps and I'm traveling, and the machine can pronounce Polokwane. Polokwane. Even our own Google Maps can't pronounce our own languages. So anyway, it's very important. Otherwise, we won't succeed. The effectiveness in terms of leveraging transformative technology will require us using the African languages in the machines, in the computer system. So there's work in progress, but not enough has been done. And we can even partner with the colleagues at Silicon Valley and work with them in their own systems to put other languages in there. Because you see French is in there, German is in there. And we must always remember that the Chinese do the stuff in Chinese, Japanese in Japanese. But sometimes we feel that, no, but we can't teach physics in Setswana, we can't teach, physics in Zulu. How are the Chinese doing it? So we must make sure we develop our languages in keeping with the developments in technology. So very important, very fundamental. Political intentionality. There are some efforts, and I cover them in my book. There are efforts in South Africa, in Zimbabwe, in all these countries to embrace AI. But what I find problematic is we're not learning from each other. For example, in terms of organization, I think Rwanda is number one. Of all the 5 I studied in Africa, Rwanda is number 1, Kenya number 2, South Africa number 3, in terms of views and organization around AI. So South Africa, with big economy, can learn 1 or 2 things from Rwanda. Yeah, in terms of political intentionality around AI. In terms of the continent, not much at SADC level, East African Community level, ECOWAS level, but at AU, they have what they call the continental AI strategy, which again I review in my book. And my criticism is that they've done it at that level without consultation with the region, without consultation with the country, but it's a good starting point. So there is a political intentionality at the SADC level, AU level, but the rubber must hit the ground. But we must also learn from each other. In terms of countries we can learn from around education, China is a good example. Starting from September this year, they got a new curriculum for all their primary schools to start teaching AI skills and AI literacy. And so they've changed the entire system from primary, secondary to university to accommodate AI. So it's a good country we can learn from in terms of education, in terms of that. And Rwanda, the same. But you also raised a very important point, Dean, about decolonization and democratizing AI. If we are not careful, this technology will be another front for colonization, because we're having what we call digital colonialism or digital imperialism, data imperialism. So if we are not careful, we are going through another round of data imperialism and colonialism or digital imperialism. So we need to actively deal with what's called decoloniality in AI. It's a huge area of research for you colleagues here, decoloniality in AI. Then the second subject is called democratizing AI. What can we do to make sure this technology is democratic? In the sense that there's democratic access to AI within America, within England, within South Africa. Because if you're not careful, again, only the rich will have access to technology. So we widen the gap between the haves and the have-nots. So decoloniality in AI is a subject of interest. Democratizing AI is a subject of interest as well. On education, we can learn also from the US. They're also changing their curriculum, although they're following the Chinese. The way it happened, I think the Chinese announced, and then Donald Trump the next week also announced for America in terms of changing their curriculum to accommodate AI. Now, the issue you raise about fundamental issues. Don't take AI as a silver bullet. We must address the fundamental issues in addition to adopting AI. And I talk about that very explicitly in my book, that the AI revolution, the use of AI, must assume that you are addressing fundamentals. In South Africa, fundamentals are the economy is still white. What we got in 1994 was political independence. This economy is still very wide. So that idea of transforming the economy must proceed. You can't hide behind AI, right? AI can help you, but the agenda of transforming the South African economy so that it doesn't intentionally create poverty must be done. AI can be a tool in that agenda, but we must always remember the history of Africa, the history of South Africa. It's a colonial history. In particular, talking about South Africa, we have a legacy of a colonial economy. So there are two things that we should do. We must decolonize the South African economy. Forget AI. What are you doing as South Africans, as Africans, to decolonize the economy? That, if you address that, then the issue of intentional creation of poverty will be addressed. But what we're saying is AI could be a tool in the way we empower people and so on, but the fundamentals must be addressed. And so, and I'm very clear in my book that I'm not pushing AI as a silver bullet. In fact, in my book, I have a chapter where I talk about the broader intervention. In fact, for every country, I talk about the broader intervention. Before we talk about technology, before we talk about AI, what are the broad interventions within South Africa? And I talk about decolonizing the South African economy. I talk about the triple problem: poverty, unemployment, inequality. Yeah? Because you can't assume that we're gonna go AI and AI is a silver bullet. So my challenge is to say yes to AI, but the fundamentals must be addressed. In the same way, we're addressing the fundamentals around energy, fundamentals around connectivity, fundamentals around digital infrastructure, fundamentals around human capital. We must understand the structural economy. In fact, the argument they say is even, and I use the argument in my book again around the issue of energy transition and climate change. You know, how can you decarbonize an economy which has not been structurally decolonized? Yes to decarbonization, yes to climate change, yes to energy transition, but how do you apply all those nice things to an economy which is structurally colonized? So what it means is, in addition to decarbonization, in addition to AI, we must decolonize the economy as a subject. Where is your agenda in South Africa around decolonizing the economy? Before we talk decarbonization, before we talk AI. So I share your concern, and my argument is I believe the idea is to acknowledge the foundational matters and address them, but not sequentially. You can do it at the same time. We address decolonization, but also address the adoption of AI. So I'll take another set of questions.
Okay. We may only have enough time to take one more from the audience because we have two here online that I can ask. So this is a comment from Rahi saying, thank you for the interesting and enthusiastic presentation. I find your positive perception on the potential for AI in Africa refreshing, but at the same time, I'm curious to hear about some of the ethical questions AI raises. For one, being what it means to be human and the questions that have been raised about not only widening class disparities, but the introduction of what Harari, for example, calls the useless class and the superhuman elites, which have profound implications for society. And then the second one is, I enjoyed Prof's presentation. I thought Prof could comment on the obvious use case of AI in geopolitics and conflicts where existing state conflicts are using AI. Any final last comments from the audience that Prof can then wrap up? And then, yes, sir, please introduce yourself and just ask your question.
Good morning, how are you? How's everybody? And thank you so much, Prof, for such an amazing lecture. My name is John Radebe. I'm from a company called Eon AI. Don't look up for it yet. We're still busy setting up something. Disclaimer. Prof, no, the things that you've mentioned really, I feel like about 2 weeks ago, I felt like I was Ezekiel. I was seeing the will of God, you know, to those who have read the Bible. Not that I'm too religious. The things that I think most people are not seeing, actually, I was so surprised when you're mentioning things that are actually coming for us. And as much as I've been working on it, actually, I've been traveling abroad to try to partner with engineers and companies that are actually quite, let me say, substantial and have an input in AI. I've been in the UAE, I've been in Iran, I've met some top engineers there, I've met some top engineers in the UAE. I've actually recently partnered with a company in space and AI. But what I'm actually noticing as I come back, and I've been busy building this animal that can be able to assist us to mitigate most of our problems economically, so let me say socio-economic problems. I'm simply noticing that there's actually, even though we have strategies at maybe continental level, regional level, or even country level, or national level, there's a little bit of ignorance, especially when you introduce it, when you want to talk about it, because I don't think that they are seeing it the way that you've written in this book, or the way that you're seeing it, or the way that I'm actually seeing it. There's an apocalypse coming. If you're not aware, there's an apocalypse coming. And I was so happy when you were saying that we might not be able to take, but there's going to be a serious colonization of artificial intelligence, or let me say that transformative technology, if we're not aware. We are still very behind. So my question is that how do we convince or try to make it aware to the government, to the private sector, to the public sector? We've got issues like education, yes, we've got strategies like education we can implement. In my strategies, we've already worked on that, and we've actually highlighted some of the solutions that we can be able to give into central government, education, crime reduction, predictive learning, and all that. But as much as I've been talking to people for this past month, I've got a general rationale. They think that is the slow snail coming. They do not know that it's actually a missile that is actually really coming. So how do we transform their mind right now that they can be able to see things the way they are in a realistic point of view without including politics, without including, no, let's talk about it later. But there's a thing that is right on our doorstep. And if we do not participate, there's an apocalypse coming for Africans again. We're going to be colonized again. And since I've traveled, sorry. Thank you so much. So how do we change the perception, the mind? How do we make them put them in a rush stage? Like, guys, let's rush. These are right on our doorstep. How can we do that? Because I've actually been trying to do that for a month and I'm failing.
Okay, thank you very much. I'll be very brief. The ethical question online, it's an open issue. And I hope the researchers here will help us resolve this. There are so many unknowns. Because as I said, if we have superintelligence, what does it mean? If we have AGI, what does it mean? If we have synthetic biology. So we need to start grappling with these issues around ethics. What does it mean to be human? You know, if a machine can be smarter than us, what does it mean if we can create that machine, what does it mean to our religious beliefs and so on? And also the biases that are in these things coming from Silicon Valley. How do we mitigate around those biases? So the ethical matter is the research question that I hope we all will be able to attend to. But that should not stop us from leveraging it to pursue development, to pursue prosperity. But being aware the ethical dilemmas, being aware the ethical challenges, being aware there are also biases and dangers involved in the technology. Geopolitics. AI affects geopolitics and geopolitics affects AI. They are very dynamically linked like that. And as you can see right now, there's serious competition between China and the United States. And why? You can ask, why are they competing? Because it's actually an arms race. It's based on AI. Why? Because, they're what we call AWS, autonomous weapon systems. Weapons which are autonomous. These drones you see being used in Israel, in Iran, they're autonomous. It's AI. In Gaza, AI. In Ukraine, AI. So again, geopolitics is going to depend on technology, in particular AI. So it's a very interesting relationship. And there's serious competition going on right now around superintelligence. You know why? Right now, if you look at China and America, they're almost even. They have nuclear weapons. America is $29 trillion GDP. China is 19. So they're even. Russia with the nuclear weapons. But guess what? Whoever gets superintelligence first, to be like this, asymmetric advantage over the opponent. If the Chinese get superintelligence today, the gap will be like this with America. If America gets superintelligence, so that's why there's a huge competition going on, because whoever gets superintelligence first, they're in a league of their own. And you can say, why don't we say we never want to do that? Why don't they agree not to do it? How can they agree when they're fighting? If you're competing in Ukraine, you're fighting in Iran, and basically Iran is basically the Chinese versus Americans going on there. If you're fighting, you can't collaborate, so you keep competing. Now, in terms of war, let me explain to you what happens in the war, what we call battlefield singularity. Again, it has not happened yet, it's going to happen. When you have these weapons and involved in war, time will come, if you're a general and I'm a general and we're fighting, if you keep a human being in your loop, you lose. In other words, the machines will come a time when they are more efficient on their own without a person. In that case, when that happens, it's called battlefield singularity, where the machines are better off without a human being. So if you are, nostalgic and say, I must have a general in my, you lose the war. But as a general, you want to win. So what will happen is you remove the person, That's called battlefield singularity. It has not happened yet, but when it does happen, what does it mean? To war. It gets worse. There's what we call autonomous nuclear weapon systems. Right now we have Joe Biden, we have Donald Trump, Xi Jinping, Macron, and Stammer with their finger on the nuclear bomb right now. In future, it won't be those people, it will be robots. Autonomous nuclear weapon systems. Can you imagine when the decision to go into a nuclear war would depend on a robot? autonomous nuclear weapon systems. Again, it will happen. Why? Because sometimes if you have a human being, you're going to lose the war. So geopolitics and AI are very linked, and it's scary because they are using AI for death. Whereas we're pushing for AI for development, we push for AI for agriculture. But the very same AI can be used in wars. Remember, AI is a tool. You can use the tool to build or the tool to destroy, just like a knife. You can use knife to cut butter, you can use it to cut a person. So our job in the Global South is that why don't we use AI for good? Why don't we use AI to make our lives better? The last question, the issue is awareness. Let us build up awareness through social media, through normal media, through a public discourse. We must build awareness about the technology, awareness about the benefits of the technology, awareness about the dangers of the technology. But don't have a doomsday scenario that, yes, there are dangers, but we can work on the opportunities. We can make our lives better using AI, but we must also be aware of the potential dangers. So we are pushing for what we call human augmentation. Always remember that phrase, human augmentation. The future we want is not the robot or the AI taking over. It's the robot plus the person being a better person. Can you, in your field, as a doctor, as an engineer, as a teacher, have you plus AI become a better professional? Human augmentation or human 2.0. I'll give you a good example in medicine. You can use AI to do the diagnosis and analyze everything and get the answer. For example, you go to the doctor and the AI looks at you and it says, you are suffering. You got stage 4 cancer. You are dying in 4 weeks. Go home and pack your bags. AI has no empathy. They just give you the facts. But if you take that AI system and a human doctor together, the doctor look at the perfect diagnosis from the AI and says to you, I think we have issues, got a problem. Why don't you go and get your spouse? We sit down and talk about your circumstances. You see, the human doctor is now managing the delivery of the same message. So the AI on its own is excellent, but terrible in terms of empathy and delivery. The doctor on his own might be excellent on empathy, but not so technically. So combining the AI and the human doctor will be a better doctor. So always remember, AI is meant to make you better. Why don't we push for human augmentation? The AI system and the person becoming a better profession. That's the attitude we should take towards AI. How do I become better because of AI? How can I become a better professor because of AI? How can I become a better student because of AI? How can I become a better engineer because of AI? The future belongs to us. And I want to end on this note that says, we cannot assume that we're going to benefit from this revolution by default. We need agents. You and I have a duty and obligation to ensure that AI works for us. AI becomes a force for good in South Africa. AI becomes a force of good in the continent of Africa. AI becomes a force of good in the entirety of the Global South. And we must care about what happens to our people. We must care about shared prosperity. We must care about inclusive development. Don't be so concerned about personal success. Collective success is more important than individual success. That's why we say Ubuntu. I am because we are because I am. Collective success is what is going to be used to judge you. You know, I used to rock up at the World Economic Forum and speak. As you can see, I love speaking. And they say, oh, very interesting. Where are you from? Then I dodge and talk about I'm coming from MIT, McKinsey. And no. Where are you from? I refuse to answer. I keep talking about my achievements. No. Which country? Then the video says, you're Zimbabwe. If you are that smart, how come your country is messed up? You see, the bankruptcy of my country is undermining my superstardom.
I agree.
The decadence of my country is undermining my rock star status. So the message to you is, you will never be respected as a South African until South Africa is done more as a country. You will never be respected as an African until Africa is done more as a continent. Let us use AI to make South Africa successful collectively. Let us make sure we use AI to make Africa successful so that your rock star status will be respected by somebody. And thank you so much.
As you have heard, ladies and gentlemen, the revolution is upon us. Please take these words to heart. I would like to, as part of the faculty and as part of the audience, thank Prof. Mutambara for such a wonderful seminar, wonderful presentation, and such awesome engagement. Can we please give him a round of applause? And I would like to call up the dean to please present him with something to say thank you on behalf of the faculty.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
It's a self-driving car.
Because they have not changed.
Thank you very much. Thank you. And with that, ladies and gentlemen, we've come to the end. I would like to please invite you before you leave to some muffins that we have at the back and some tea. Thank you very much for carving out some time in your day and very busy schedule to be with us today. Please note that this was the second of the seminar, and we will be having the next in the series on the 6th of August, where we have 3 panelists planned to come and speak to us. So please look out for the invitation in your emails, and we look forward to having you once again. And yeah, once more, thank you very much, Prof. Mutambara, and we hope to see you again doing the amazing work that you do, whether on the corridors or in another seminar. Thank you very much. Thank you so much.
Thank you for everything.
Thank you. That was so amazing. I hope everyone had lots of fun, but when you unpack so much.
you.